Hello and welcome to a new episode of your show Sair. Today is Wednesday, the 26th of August, 2026, and also today is the 13th of Rabi al-Awwal. A very strange and dangerous phenomenon occurred in the Americas during the past few hours. Specifically, it happened in Argentina, and it is the seawater receding. So the seawater receded in a frightening way as this dangerous retreat of the sea happened specifically on the coasts of Argentina. You're about to see it on your screen. This receding revealed the seafloor and made the ships and boats look as if they had actually settled on land in a scene that caused fear and panic, not only in the Americas, not only in Argentina, but around the world. But the question is, why did this receding happen? First, I'll tell you the scientific reason. But before I tell you the scientific reason, we can't forget that most of these countries surrounding Argentina, and we saw devastating earthquakes struck from Venezuela to Mexico to Colombia to Peru. Several devastating earthquakes hit the Americas. It could have a role in this retreat, or at least in making this retreat worse. And we always know that when devastating earthquakes strike with a magnitude above 7 or close to 7 on the Richter scale, they hit the coast or any point near the coast. The shoreline water starts to recede because a devastating earthquake always causes the seawater, shoreline water, or ocean water to recede. And then it brings tsunami waves. The water recedes at first, and then strong tsunami waves hit the area. Now, when the devastating earthquake struck countries we talked about, from Venezuela to Mexico to Peru to Colombia, experienced a slight retreat of the water, and there were small tsunami waves, nothing major, just about 1.5, or 2 meters. We saw this, and many sources reported it, and we saw it. How did some seawater enter some cities, but it wasn't significant and wasn't actually destructive. So could the destructive earthquakes that happened have affected the coasts of Argentina and caused the water to recede or pull back? Seawater behaving in this frightening way is possible, but the likelihood remains slim because usually the water would recede first, or the water would remain held back. In countries that are directly affected by destructive earthquakes like Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru, why are we talking about this retreat of the water happening in a country that wasn't hit by the destructive earthquake, even if it was affected slightly? That would have been enough. This retreat of the water happens in countries that have experienced destructive earthquakes in the past weeks. So, could this be the reason? A sign of a destructive earthquake that might happen. And for Argentina, honestly, a destructive earthquake is almost expected. It's one of the few countries, I mean, all its neighbors, thank God, or most of them, maybe not all, but most of its neighbors, they were hit by destructive earthquakes. And it's the only one that hasn't been hit by a destructive earthquake yet. So, yes, this could be a prelude to a very strong or destructive earthquake, but it's a slim possibility. Why is this a slim possibility? Should we turn to science? Science tells you this phenomenon is called the extreme low tide phenomenon, and it happens as a result of a significant difference in the movement of the tides. The tide comes in, but the ebb is much stronger. The tide comes in, but the ebb is much stronger during the great ebb. It is usually accompanied by strong winds coming from the land toward the sea, especially winds that carry ocean currents or cause high temperature. Usually, these winds come from the sea toward the land, bringing humidity and high temperatures with them. In the extreme low tide phenomenon, direction of the winds is reversed. The winds are a bit strong, coming from the land toward the sea. From the land toward the sea. So their direction is toward the sea. They carry or push, let's say, the water away from the shores. And this sharp retreat happens, but at the same time, it is temporary and supposed to last for a few days. And after this recession, of course, it goes. In addition, Argentina, according to my observation, has experienced natural and unnatural phenomena over the past years, of course. Argentina has some ports and coastal areas that are characterized by shallow seabeds, meaning the beaches have shallow waters. There are many ports and beaches in Argentina and its coastal areas. And those in Argentina know about this. It is characterized by shallow seabeds. What does this cause? This makes any retreat. A normal retreat of the water can look unusual on the beaches because of the shallow seabed. Any retreat and the land immediately appears, the seabed immediately shows, it happens right away. The ships appear to be anchored on land. And in fact, they are anchored on land because the seabed is shallow. The seabed of these beaches and ports where the ships anchor is shallow, and it's very shallow. In any case, what could happen in the coming days? I expect, and this is most likely what will happen, that within days, and just a change, what always controls this phenomenon, especially the phenomenon of tides and the great ebb, like what happened in Argentina, is what controls it. The movement of the moon and Jupiter, meaning the moon with its gravity, has a big effect. It's the main reason for the phenomenon of tides and also Jupiter. Jupiter is also related to tides, but its effect is smaller than the moon's. But Jupiter's gravity and its current position, in addition to the moon's gravity, play a big role in causing this great low tide within what we call the tidal cycle. As soon as this thing ends, and even the direction of the wind changes, meaning instead of blowing from the land to the sea, it reverses and blows from the sea to the land. We'll see the water and the shores return, but to their natural state. But I'll tell you again, we can't ever ignore or overlook this either. This whole area has been monitored, and it has experienced many destructive earthquakes. This phenomenon might be stronger this year than in previous years, and it's expected because a destructive earthquake is anticipated in Argentina. We'll keep following up with you as things develop. I'm with you, Ahmad Al-Dira, host of the show What's Happening in Your Block.